their cause. Surah An-Nisa, verse 34 and 35. Allah said, men are the protectors and maintainers of women because Allah has made one of them excel over the other, and because they spend out of their possessions to support them. Thus, righteous women are obedient and guard their rights, the rights of men in their absence, under Allah's protection. As for women of whom you fear rebellion, admonish them and remain apart from them in beds and beat them. Then, if they obey you, do not seek ways to harm them. Allah is the exalted, the great. If you fear a breach between the two, appoint an arbitrator from his people and an arbitrator from her people. If they both want to set things right, Allah will bring about reconciliation between them. Allah is all-knowing and all-aware. Indeed, the word of Allah is the truth.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you very much, dear brother Ismail Lawal, there, confirming yet again that the absolute truth is the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah, some thought-provoking, messages from those passages that have been read to our hearing. Of course, that is also to, give you the heads up as regards what is we're going to be expecting to hear from our facilitator today, who is already in or on the call with us. It promises to be yet another interesting time. Like I did say, I said that we started this family, subject matter a couple of months ago. Like I said, we started with family planning, then we move on to infertility and all of that. Today, we're going to be looking at another dimension on a subject relating to the family. This time around, we are looking at marital discord. And you will agree with me that the trend that we have today is suggesting that it is some area that we have to also look at as professionals to also lend our voice, particularly on ethical ground. So these are what we're going to be looking at today, the dimensions around marital discord and everything about it are what we are going to be looking at today. So we'll get to that in just about a bit. But before we do, let me quickly acknowledge the presence of some of our guests who are already here with us. To start with, I have here on the call Malam Abdul Wahid Adibambo, who is interestingly is the vice chairman of the organizers of this webinar, the TCP. So Mr. Malam Abdul Wahid Adibambo is standing in for the chairman. He is unavoidably absent here today. And then we thank him for making our time to also be here with us. Thank you very much. And we say salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Thank you very much, Mr. MC. I quite appreciate that.
Yeah,
I welcome you all.
Yeah, so in just about him.
Okay. Thanks.
All right, thank you very much. In just about a moment, we are also going to be hearing from the vice chairman for his opening remark in just a short while from now. So we'll get to that in a bit. Then also, I also have on the call the secretary of the Muslim Congress. The Muslim Congress, by the way, is the parent body of the TCP, and we have the secretary of that very noble organization here with us in person of Malam Abdulaziz Biodun Alawun.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Of course, we heard from this the secretary of the organizers of the webinar, that is talking about my brother Malam Abdullah Trimizi, who led us in that opening dua. We pray Allah continue to keep him for us. We also like him to say testimony to the house. Brother Abdullah Trimizi.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much once again. Then also, next up is the finance manager of the TCP, who is also here. He's doing a whole lot behind the scene. And maybe at some point we also get to hear what they have for us from that particular point from him much later in the course of proceeding. But for the points, for this point in time, we'd like him to also say testimony to us. Malam Shakir.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And then also, like I did say, we already have with us here the one who is our facilitator today. We'll still get to know about him before he actually starts giving his submission. But for the sake of protocol, I would like to recognize his presence just about now. So please make welcome Dr. Abdul Fattah Adeyemi. We'd like him to say testing to the house. Dr. Abdul Fattah? All right. Okay. Okay, yeah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.
Wa alaikum salam. So good to have you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, yes, I will come to you in just about a moment. We just wanted to hear from you, say the testimony. It's a very good one to hear. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Most welcome, sir.
All right. So
thank you very much.
Again,
Now,
so right now, I understand that for those who may be attempting to link up with us, if you cannot get through via Zoom, I understand that this session is being live streamed on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. Please pass on this information to those who may have some struggle getting to join us on Zoom. So if you can't do that, please, you can always join up with us on our YouTube channel that is currently live streaming this session. So that information I have from you from the back end. So I will hope that you pass on this information to those whom you also want to benefit from this event. And then, okay, at this point in time, we are going to join the Vice Chairman of TCP, who is going to give his opening remarks to Allah make it easy for him.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله وكفى الحمد لله رب العالمين. We praise Almighty Allah who has made today a reality. He has showered his blessing on us as he has showered blessings on the Prophet, the noblest of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We beseech him to continue to be our guidance, protect us, and give us that wisdom that he has also been given. We pray that Almighty Allah continue to sustain that, for us. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to this edition of the webinar of the Muslim the Congress Professional. Just like the MC has earlier said, this is the 14th edition of that, and it's been quite a worthwhile, and a lot of responses have also been gotten from our audience, has shown that we need to really be on our foot to get this thing, over to everybody out there. First and foremost, I want to welcome the acting wali of the Muslim Congress, Lagos State, who is present here with us. Also the former wali, Alhaji Mikhail Oriolowo Animashao, our lecturer, the guest lecturer. We also welcome you to this Dr. Abu Fattah Adeyemi. It's our pleasure having you in the midst of our professionals. As we said, our aim, the main aim and objective of the Congress Professional is to ensure that bring in professionals who in diverse level areas of profession to become part of what they know, the pristine Islam that everybody is blessed with. We want to also bring this back to everybody. Just like you look at our mission, our vision, which says that to be consummate professional network setting, agenda to exercise ethical influence on the society. That ethical influence is all about what Islam, the message of Islam on the society, to bring people to their consciousness. And if you look at the mission that is also driving this vision, is to ensure that we create an ambience for learning, networking, and innovation where resourceful Muslim professionals are inspired to rise above contemporary challenges. If you look at what we have today, there are a lot of challenges facing the Muslim world. We can't be enumerating that here. We know all these challenges, and that's part of why we are here, to ensure that we add value to all these areas and bring Islam to the fore, bring it to the notice of everybody, to the nooks and crannies of everybody. Our objective is also to produce, to promote Islamic values, and its integration in sustainable projects. You know, we have a lot of projects that we are also moving on to ensure that the society that we had our values as professionals and as Muslims. You know, we must, our existence must be well felt, you know, in the midst of whatever challenges that we have, you know. So we have a lot of these that are, you know, well carved out, you know, in ensuring that we'll provide a platform, you know, for soul purification. And if you look at the areas we are covering is just beyond family. It's all about, we talked about science, we talk about management, leadership, you know, because there are a lot of challenges in our leadership today. And if you see what is also happening around us, you know, al-khilafatu Rushdie, which those that has also fallen off, we don't have that. And we need to continuously, you know, entrench that and ensure that people get to the details of what leadership is all about, and in the face of, you know, Islam. We have that and ensure that we reach out to people, you know. And if you also look at what is happening in our homes today, there are a lot of challenges. This is why we are bringing today's topic. That discord, marriage discord, marital discord has been a very challenging thing in our society today. You see men, you know, couples, you know, getting separated because of certain things that are also not known to them. So we want to give this an education to everybody so that we can prepare our minds, prepare ourselves for that greater challenge. You know, those that have stayed in the marriage for 30 years, 40 years, it has not been a bed of roses. You understand? There have been challenges, but they are, you know, with the help of Allah and their own steadfastness in Islam, they have been able to also get out of this. But we brought an Neruda scholar who we know that he can do justice to this topic, and that's why we have our doctor in the house. In view of time, I want to also cut it short here. I say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh to everybody, you know, that are here present today. Thank you very much.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much for that very, very thought-provoking, you know, remarks that you made as regards some of the challenges that we're having in our society that informed why we are delving into this very topical subject matter. So you can't say that enough. You have spoken the absolute truth. If you consider what is going on in our society today, you understand why this is a subject that we cannot fail to contribute to as regards putting people right and giving them the right kind of guidance to actually, paddle their boat as far as their marriage is concerned. Thank you very much, Madam Abdullaida Dibambo, for your very, very insightful opening remarks. Thank you very much. Again, that is setting the tone. Yeah, that is setting the tone for the discussion that we are going to be having today. Now, often we have marriages starting on a very good note, and marriages starts very happily. Couples getting to know each other and bringing their families together, and everybody joining in that those niceties. But of course, it is really natural that after some time there will be some level of misunderstanding, frictions here and there. But if you now look back at our parents who have actually stayed together for decades and are still very much living as man and woman, but that is not the case as we have it today. We have homes breaking up in just few months after marriage and all of that. And you recall the high-profile case, high-profile murder case involving Mariam Sanda, who unfortunately killed her husband due to usual marital rift. And that case is still very much fresh in our memory, and we have a lot of them around us. Today, we are having some of our so-called celebrities having cracks in their marriages. Like you must have been hearing lately, we are hearing cases of DNA theft and all of that. Of kids and all of that. This, are issues that revolves around the marriage institution and what has become of that institution. This is the reason why the TCP has deemed it fit to also take a look at it, put some level of ethical introspection into actually learn from some of these messages that we are going to be sending to people. And then just like the vice chairman alluded to, we have facilitators there with us who we have gone all the way to Abuja to look for him, because we are actually going to be delving into a very, very sensitive matter. And of course, that will require that we have somebody who is actually capable and can look at it very, very holistically to be able to get people to take some lessons from this very, very important topic. So we have on our hand the one who is going to be giving us who is going to be facilitating this session. He's Dr. Abdul Fattah Adeyemi. By the way, he is the Chief Executive Officer and the lead marriage counselor of Binokum Family Counseling Center, Abuja, Nigeria. So he's the one that is going to actually be facilitating this session. We'll make it easy for him. And just before you get into it, please, like we have told you ahead of this session, that the topic that we are going to be looking at to be actually cut across all walks of life, be you a professional, be you an artisan, because we are talking about the marriage institution. And there's a lot of crack going on, even amongst the so-called Muslims. So there's a whole lot to learn here. So please reach out to some of your folks who are not here to join up with us, as there's a whole lot we're going to be learning today. And of course, you agree with me that lately, at TCP, we are beginning to attract the attention of non-Muslims who have actually joined the last couple of sessions that we have. So it means that we're actually, making those inroads that were actually projected for this particular project when we all started. So let us together make this a very worthwhile edition again. So it is going to be over to Dr. Abdul Fattah Adeyemi, who is going to take it from here. He's going to be looking at the topic marital discord, the causes, and how to manage it, and of course, Islamic solutions to this. So it's going to be an hour of very, very basket full of information with Dr. Bismillah.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Sheikh MC Kamaruddin Oladujoyi, and special thanks to Wahid Adibambo and the Sheikh that gave us open prayer, Sheikh Tirmizi, and the stars that also recited the Quran for us from Surah Nisa, and all of those who are hiding behind their phones and cameras there. Wherever you are, may Almighty Allah be pleased with all of us. May Allah forgive us our sins. May Allah pardon our mistakes. May Allah overlook our errors. We begin in the name of Allah, the most gracious, most merciful, and we seek refuge in Allah from the across shaitan. I had done some dua of iftitah much earlier because I thought to start 4:30. But alhamdulillah, I enjoyed the session so far because I talked a little more about the Congress professional. I have been much more familiar with TMC. So when I saw the Congress professional, I was wondering, is it not TMC? I thought it's TMC that I'm supposed to speak with. But I'm happy as Brother Kamaruddin has explained it now. It's much clearer that TCP is one of the arms of TMC, which I am much familiar with. So I'm very happy and I'm grateful that I have been given an opportunity to address all of us this evening. May Almighty Allah make it be worth our while. May Allah grant us the reward in this world and the hereafter. Earlier on, I sent a lecture note very, very late indeed, because my brother that has always reminded me, he did that severally, but I was not able to meet up because of so many other demands. So I openly apologize to him that I didn't send it to him in good time. But nevertheless, I do hope that he will make it available to everyone. I want to do the lecture, but I would rather call it discussion, because I just want to be speaking to us, as in we are discussing. I want it to be a discussion. I want it to be that I'm speaking to you. If not that the Zoom network can misbehave sometimes, it can have life of its own. I would have said everybody's mic should be on so that we can just be talking. But because of the network, that may go off and on and off. I want you to please bear with me. I will just speak to you as if we are discussing, and I want you to please follow the discussion as we are going. I may not follow my lecture note word for word. I just want us to have a broad understanding, a general view of what I'm going to say. And I also want to try to use examples that we can all relate with, and also to use scenarios that we may not forget, inshallah. I like it that after my lecture, people don't forget everything that I said. If anybody is tired or you feel sleepy or you are bored, please notify the MC to tell me to round off. But nevertheless, I do hope we are all going to have a nice time discussing this evening. May Allah forgive me for wherever I might be wrong in advance, and may Allah continue to guide us all aright so that we may say the best of what needs to be said. The caveat there is, if there's anything I say that is not in line with what Allah and His Rasul has put in place, please just understand that it is just me that is doing my thing. And if there's any part of it that is in line with what Allah and His Rasul have put in place, please find way in your heart to accept it and put it to the best of use. Let us be among those among those who hear a word and they follow the best of it. Be that as it is also, let me pray that may the peace and blessing of Allah be upon the best of all mankind, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his household, his companions, and all believing men and women from now till the day of judgment. The topic is marital discords, causes, management, and Islamic solution. Causes and management, looking at it from Islamic perspective. First and foremost, Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala urges all of us to marry. All Muslims, Allah urges us to marry, and this marriage, Almighty Allah says, وَانْكِحُوا الْأَيَّامَ مِنْكُمْ وَالصَّالِحِينَ مِنْ عِبَادِكُمْ وَإِمَائِكُمْ إِنْ يَكُونُوا فُقَرَاءَ يُغْنِيهِمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ وَاللَّهُ وَاسِعٌ عَلِيمٌ. As you can see the verse there, Almighty Allah calls the all of us, to the unmarried ones amongst us, to marry, and the righteous male and female from amongst us should marry, even if they are slaves. If there were slaves, we should all marry. And Allah says, if they happen to be poor, Allah is going to enrich them from His favor. Allah is bountiful and all-knowing. There's another hadith there from the Prophet ﷺ that calls on the young people, Ya Ma'ashara Shabab, and so on and so forth, to the end of the hadith, where the Prophet ﷺ employed the young people. Whoever is able to afford to get married amongst the men, let him marry, because marriage is more effective in lowering the gaze and protecting the private part. And whoever cannot do that, let him fast, فَإِنَّهُ لَهُ وَجَاءٌ, because fasting will be a protection for him. All these are there to show that Islam is in support of marriage. Marriage is part of Islam, and we want everybody to try. Those who can afford to marry, let them get married. There's another verse of Quran that talks about, even if you can marry more than one, you can marry more than one. Almighty Allah says, that's a very popular verse amongst the brothers, but not very popular amongst the ladies, like what I heard recently. But what I know very well is Allah has given us the opportunity and the room, all of us, to get married as much as we can. We are khulafa of Allah on earth. These are some of the conditions of humanity. Number one, we have the concept of khilafah. That means we are all khalifs of Allah on earth. When Allah says, Inni ja'ilun fil ardi khalifa. After that, we also have the concept of, that means we are friends and we are all wali, one to the other. And the third one is the concept of nikah. That is, we are to marry each other. Man marries a woman marries a man. All of these have been put in place, and so we have the whole concept of marriage itself. Now, we are talking about marital discord. Marital discord. What brings about discord? In the lecture note, you see I asked there, what is a cord? When we are talking about cord or discord. The cord is like a cable or like a cord that we use, when you want to iron a cloth. The cable attached to the iron is called a cable, or sometimes called a cord. If it is boiling kettle, you call it a cord also. If it is for the computer, we call it cable, sometimes we call it cord. So we understand what a cord does. A cord is something that connects two things. If it were in case of electricity, you see, the cord is what connects the electrical appliance to the power source, where you plug your stuff. So we say cord. In everyday language that we use the word according to, for example, according to. What does that mean? It means in line with, or it means in connection to. That's according to. Then we also say in accordance with, like you have there, we say this thing is in accordance with, so assuming that there's connection between what we are saying and what we are referring to. We also have the aspect we say you are cordially invited. When we say somebody is cordially invited, it means we know you and you know us, and so you are invited to our occasion. Then if we say people have cordial relationship, it means there's a connection between them that we are referring to as that cord. So we say cordial relationship. And of course, when we mention the word record, it means we have already coded it, we have already connected it. Like this device that you have before you and this lecture we are having is being recorded. It's being recorded because if we want to connect back to what is being coded now, we can record it. That is, we are putting in a situation where we can record it. That's a way of playing back. Let's go back to what we said. So it is being recorded. And what has been recorded is also called a record, or a record. Something that is recorded, we refer to it as a record. So it's both a process and a noun. Record and record. Record is a noun and record is a process. In fact, sometimes, just like when we say, here's a building, everybody, wherever you are, I believe you are inside the building. If you are not inside your car, you are inside a building. Why do we call it building, even when it has already been built? We call it like that because it's a building that is in progress. It's also a building that's already completed. So when you are recording, you are reconnecting. And as you are reconnecting, you can also reconnect back over and over again. In other words, you can play back over and over again. I hope you are following me. And then we have the examples of cord. We say cable or cord. The one that is connected to a human being, we have the umbilical cord. That's the cord that connects the mother and the baby. That's the fetus in the womb. So we say umbilical cord has joined them. What is the job of the umbilical cord? It's going to bring the nutrient from the mother to the fetus, and some other nutrients or whatever thing from the fetus to the mother. Somehow, in the wisdom and blessing of Almighty Allah, the umbilical cord has connected cord in our bodies that are so well protected and so taken care of. What is it called? It is called the spinal cord. Spinal cord. Spinal cord is that cord that is inside our spine in order to protect it from being damaged or being hurt, or being hurted or being disturbed. So we have it inside our spinal cord. It's so delicate. That's why Allah, in His infinite mercy and wisdom, has encaged it and kept it inside the spine. That is no bone all around. And then Allah put it inside it. Allahu Akbar. We also have another kind of cord that's inside our head. That is the brain. The brain is actually like a long cord that is twined together. That is, joined together like kind of maze. A cord that is similar to that is the one we have inside our stomach. That's our intestines. All of those connections that we have there. They are also cords too, because they carry one thing or the other all around our intestines, from the small intestine to the big intestine. From the throat to the small intestine is a cord. We call it lungs, or we call it throat. It's so interesting how Allah has put all this in order. And I'm trying to call our attention to the wisdom in this greatness that Allah has put in place. Now, that as it is, we also have instance of cord in mother-child breastfeeding. This cord cannot be seen with our eyes. It is an invisible cord that connects a child to the mother. The eyes, the gaze of the mother to the child. You see, the distance between the face of the baby and the face of the mother is not more than 1 foot. And so there's a lock-in, there's a clock, there's a connection between the face of the child and the face of the mother. There's a cord that connects them. And that cord is what makes the child to recognize the face and the smell and everything about the mother. So if the mother should put the baby down, the baby will cry until when the baby sees the mother that the baby can recognize. This is a very wonderful cord Allah has put in place. Then we also have conjugal relations between husband and wife. For those who are married and those who are not married, if you are an adult, you understand very well that the process of a man and a woman producing a child is actually a kind of cording, where the man inserts his own cord into the provision of the woman. So that is a kind of cording on its own, and there's an exchange of fluid. That ma in dafik that Allah used in creating us, it passes through the tube that connects the husband with the wife during the process of child making and reproduction. And of course, even if it's for pleasure or leisure, whatever you think it is, there's that connection of a fluid from here mixed with the fluid from there. Allahu Akbar. And I don't think there's anybody here that has never been bitten by a mosquito before. Yes, that proboscis that the mosquito uses in sucking our blood is also a kind of cording. Now, what I want us to understand from this is, you see, some cords bring goodness to us. Some cords or cordings bring benefit to us. Some cordings bring harm. Like the cording of mosquito to you is harm that it brings. But the cording of the mother to the fetus brings benefit because the mother sustains the baby through that means. There's some other invisible cords that we have in the Quran. The Quran refers to it as bond, you know, similar to rahimi, joining family ties. That the word joining is indicative of the fact that we join two cords together. So we are to say we are to join the family ties. And Allah condemn those who cut what Allah asked them to join together, and that's the family ties. Friendship is also a kind of cording. Marital bond is a kind of cording. Jobs, employer and employee relationship are also kind of burdens of cordings. When you collect loans from a bank, Islamic bank, I prefer. If you do that, they will take some documentation so as to attach some strings to you, so that you will not run away with their money. So that way, they have attached a string, they have attached a cord that's going to hold you together for them. Conditions and contracts are bonds, and they are also cords also. And in so many other ways, we get to understand that the persons to whom you are bonded or the persons to whom you are corded can affect whatever happens to you or whatever becomes of you. Sometimes problems unresolved or unbroken or partially broken cords can become a problem. When a cord is not well joined together, it's a problem. It's like when you have a plumbing pipe and there's a leakage somewhere, you see the water will be wasting. And if that happens, it means neither the supplier and the receiver is deriving the best of benefits from this cord. Ensure that these cords are not broken, ensure that these cords are not leaking, ensure that these cords are not blocked. If there's a blockage in the sewage system of your house, you'll see it's going to be a lot of problem. In other words, I'm saying all of these things for us to understand the concept of the cord we are referring to and the cord that we are talking about. Sometimes this cord can be cut off, and it has to be way that there's not going to be an infection that's going to absorb the mother to the child. If someone is to be infection, your coding determines your self-image. The people you are coded with determine your self-esteem. The people you are coded with determine your self-confidence or your self-doubt, as the case may be. Some people are coded to some people, and some people are not coded well to some people. So when there's a problem in the code that we have, that is when we have what we call discord. The code that is well fixed and appropriate is well coded, but the one that has problem or has issues, or it has been severed, or it is not well connected, that's the one we call discord. Sometimes it is well connected, but the things that are passing through the code, one from one person to another, is either one-sided or it is toxic from one person to another, or it is toxic both ways. This person sends poison, the other person sends venom. At the end of it all, this code is not appropriate, so it is a discord on its own. So we are talking about marital discord. We are talking about a situation where the connection between the husband and the wife is infected or is affected, or it is linking, or it is leaking, or it is linking with wrong people, or wrong people have already attached themselves to this cord, and we don't have a normal relationship in the marriage. Let me also give you an example of one other cord. You see the veins that goes in our body system that carries blood. This blood, as we have it, must flow through seamlessly. If there's anything, any clog, anything that is obstructing the free flow of this blood in our systems, a person may have abscess, a person may have problems that may make the blood not to reach the heart, or many things can happen. When a person's blood should stop flowing, you know what's going to happen to the person. The person may die as a result of that. And so a discord is a situation where the blood is not flowing again in the system, or the blood that is flowing has been blocked. The path, the vein has been narrowed down by too much fat, or by whatever thing is blocking the path of the flow of blood. So if the blood is not flowing in your system or not flowing well, what are you going to have? There's going to be pain, there's going to be sickness, there's going to be fatigue, and most likely there may be brain damage because the blood will not reach the brain. There may be heart damage also because the blood that is pumping the blood, the heart that is pumping the blood may not have a supply back with which to continue pumping. And so now you see, everybody understands now. When we say marital discord, we are talking about this cord that has problems with it. What kind of problems can the cord have? Before I go into that, let me quickly give room for those people who are just entering into marriage. I don't want to over assume that everybody here is married. So we have about 8 E's that is affecting our marriages, or that is in connection with our marriages. What I mean by E's, I mean E for elephant, you know, E for or for egg. Number one, we have those who are just enlisting or just enlisted for marriage. When we say you are enlisted, that means you are among those people that are looking for a husband or looking for a wife. You are just in the list. If in the TMC, for instance, there's a database for single men or women, it means your name is on the list. There are some people like that. Up till now, they are still praying, wishing, making sikhara, coming for programs regularly so that they can get a husband or they can get a wife. We have the categories of those people. And I believe that this discussion is going to benefit them also. Because being on that list alone shows that you're already coded with the community of believers. And when you are coded, you're on that list, it means there's possibility and probability that your code is going to be attached to a source that is going to bring a husband or bring a wife for you. Number two, we have those who are engaged. That's the second E, E for engaged. Those who are engaged are those who have already found the heartthrob, they have already found the person they want to marry. The man has already found a woman, the woman has already found a man. That way you see the coding is a bit stronger now, because now I want to marry you, want to marry me. This is our intention. We have looked at the qualities. We have done istikhara. We have asked a lot of questions. And so we say you are engaged. That we say khitbatun nikah. That means you have already reached a stage where you are connected to one another in the form of what can result into ultimate marriage with one another. Number 3E is for those who are entering the marriage. E for enter. Entering the marriage, those are the people who are just doing their nikah. You know, let's say the nikah is already done and the dowries have been paid and it has been witnessed. There has been ijab al-kubul, there's offer and acceptance. They have followed the siga, they have followed the formula for marriage, and so they are just entering into marriage. Some of them are even in their honeymoon now, and some are just to do the wedding. Some people did theirs yesterday, may Allah bless their marriages, and some did theirs on Friday, and some are doing theirs today. Whenever you are entering into marriage, beware and be cautious and understand very well that you should not enter into a place that you cannot come out of. Make sure you enter into a place where the cordon is going to favor you in this world and the hereafter. The fourth one, number 4E, is for those who are enjoying their marriages. Enjoy. Allah Akbar. Those who are enjoying their marriages are those who follow the Sunnah, and they may not even have any need for this lecture we are doing now. You know, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Innama dunya kulluha mata'un wa khairu mata'iha al-imra'atu salihah." The whole of this world is full of enjoyment, and the best of all enjoyment is a righteous wife, or let me say, a righteous husband too. Let's say that to the ladies. So some people are enjoying their marriages. How will you enjoy your marriage? That's a topic for another time. Then we have number 5E, that is existing. E for exist. Some people are not enjoying per se, they are just existing, they are just there. Make sure you are not just in a marriage just for the sake of being there. You are supposed to enjoy it, not to exist just like that. Don't just exist because they say you are now a married man or you are now a married woman. So some people in their marriage, they are just existing. These things we want to talk about may really benefit them a lot because that coding is just there. There's no benefit, nothing is going, nothing is coming. They're just bland. In fact, some marriages now, as we speak, the husband and wife, they're just looking at each other and they're wondering who is going to die first. If you die first, I will have my life back. If I die first, I'll go and rest. You will continue to rock life on your own and eat the reward of your evil deeds. Some couples are they're just looking at each other. Mr. and Mrs. Nothing good is coming between them. They are just there. Then we also have 6-1, that is the people that are enduring their marriages. Endure. Endurance comes in 2 ways. Some people are enduring the marriages because there's too much hardship in terms of finance, in terms of livelihood, in terms of existential matters. That one, well, it is just a trial. You should endure. فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا إِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. After every adversity, there will be ease, bi-idhnillah. After every adversity, there will be ease. For such people, Almighty Allah says they should endure because life is full of trial on its own. فَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. Give good news to those who patiently persevere. Then the other side of enduring are those people who are enduring what they shouldn't endure because the marriage is abusive. They have been there, nobody to talk to. They have been there, nobody to, sermonize them or to correct them or to advise them on what to do. These ones are just enduring things that they don't need to endure. They're enduring the kind of suffering that if they had asked those who know better, they would not have suffered. It's an endurance based on ignorance, endurance based on being confused, endurance based on not asking for advice for those who can advise you. The Quran says, "First alu ahla dhikri in kuntum la ta'lamun." Ask those who know if you don't know, instead of just sitting down there and be enduring some hardship that is none of your business. Some marriages, some people, you don't have any business being in that marriage. You are just suffering for nothing. May Allah forgive us. Then number 7 are those who are editing their marriages. Those who are editing their marriages. E for edit. What are you editing? Well, all the aspect of sulhu that we will look at, briefly, they are part of you editing your marriages. This one is not good, you remove it. This one is better, you put it in. You seek more knowledge. You ask for what is the advice, what's the sunnah of the prophet in this so and so thing. How do we practicalize the teachings of Islam in so thing in our marriages? Okay, maybe I've not been showing love and care to my wife enough. Let me begin to do that now. Maybe I've not been loyal and respectful to my husband. Let me begin to do that now. Editing, that's what everybody does every time. And everybody should do that every time. The aspect of this discussion we are having is all about editing yourself, edit your marriage. You should take account of yourself before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take account of you, ask you to come and account. In other words, you may have to just make assessment of your marriage. Are you happy? Is this okay? Are we supposed to be like this? Is this what Allah and His Rasul will prefer that we do? Why am I behaving like this? Why am I the rough one? Why am I always the wrong party? Why is my spouse always complaining about me? And so on and so forth. So you see, you are editing your marriage. And I want to implore all of us to please, always take audit, make an audit of your marriage and begin to, to edit yourself and edit your marriage. And number 8, E, is exiting. Exit, E for exit, as in going out. As we speak now, some marriages cannot work again, unfortunately. This is why there's Surah to Talaq in the glorious Quran. This is why Almighty Allah put Talaq in place. That in case, if after all said and done, the marriage still is not working or should not work or cannot work, then Allah has given the rahmah for people in marriage that they can exit so that one person doesn't have to kill another person. The husband doesn't have to poison his wife. The wife doesn't have to stab the husband to death. Let everybody, exit the marriage and let them go and marry somebody else. Even if the couples have to divorce, Allah is going to provide for each of them in their own ways. So if you see somebody that is divorced, it's not a stigma. It's not that you look down on the person and say, she's a divorced woman. He divorced his wife. It is a provision in Sharia that people may have to, bil ma'ruf, go separate way with goodness and with kindness. If they made mistake in marrying each other, or they are married and some things untoward happen that require that they should both exit, it's not haram. Sorry, I'm speaking like this. I'm a counselor. I'm supposed to say people must stay together. But there are some marriages that are not ordained by Almighty Allah to be together. And so if it happens like this, salam, salam, let everybody go their own peaceful way. So I've mentioned 8 now. I hope everybody can remember. We have enlisting, people are enlisted. We have engaged. We have entering. We also have those who are enjoying their marriages. I pray you and I will belong to that. We have those who are existing in their marriage, just existing for nothing. Then we have those who are enduring in their marriages. May Allah turn their conditions to what is better. And we have those who are editing their marriages. That's you and I. That's what we should do every time. And we have those who are exiting their marriages. That is going out of their marriages. Now, as I've mentioned all of these things, you get to see that the cord that passes through all of these things must have gone through certain problems or the other. Now, one of the symptoms of marital discord that we are talking about is fight. Fight is one of the symptoms of discord. There are many other things. So there is fight, there is quarrel, there is malice, people keeping malice with one another, especially. I don't know yet up to now whether it is men or women who keep malice most. Some people, all they know in their life is to keep malice. They can't express themselves, they can't apologize, they can't say sorry, they can't say, I've forgiven you, and they cannot tell what is wrong with them. They will keep malice like babies, like little children. That is a very bad habit. If you have it, please throw it away, because it is one of the symptoms of discord in marriage. Now, there are many other ways. Everywhere in the world, people fight. I hope we all know that. Everywhere in the world, people fight, regardless of your religion, regardless of your culture, regardless of your race, regardless of whatever thing you are. If, in fact, no matter how religious you are, people still fight. And fighting seems to be part of human nature generally. Human beings fight. And it started from the time of the children of Adam, Habil and Kabil. You remember how Kabil killed Habila. And since then, human beings have always fought. Some fights can lead to death, like the one that Habil and Kabila did. Amongst husbands and wives, some fights lead to death. Some fights lead to serious injury. Some fights create separation. Some fights create enmity that will not end. And some fights bring peace between husband and wife. After they have fought, then they reconcile and the marriage continues to go peacefully. There's no way you can predict what is going to happen at the end of any fight. That's why a person must always be cautious, because this is a very serious sign of discord in that family. As for the fight that leads to death, let me tell you a story of a man. This man came back from work and he met his wife fighting with their landlord's son. You understand what I mean? The son of the landlord. They are living in a rented apartment. They were living in the rented apartment. The man came back from work and he met that the son of the landlord had come to their own flat to come and fight with his wife. That is with this man's wife. So he got there and he met that PT as well. So he got very angry and said, "Stop me." The guy, the man just, held him like this and gave him a very heavy punch. Like what we used to say when we were small, 1 blow, 7 die. I don't know what that means up to now, but you all of you understand what I mean. He gave him 1 blow, 7 die, a model after that of Anabi Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. So he gave him that punch and the guy the landlord's son hit his head on the wall and he collapsed and he died. What happened? What happened? He has killed somebody. By the time they rushed the guy to the hospital, he had already given up. And so the matter was taken to court and it was converted to manslaughter. They said it was not predetermined. It just happened during the fight and things. So they converted his sentence to 14 years imprisonment. 14 good years imprisonment. Why did he go to prison for 14 years? Because he fought with somebody and something happened, the person died. Now, I've not told you the end of the story. Listen to this now. It now so happened that when the man had spent 5 years in prison out of 14 years, it still had 9 years to go. Am I correct? Yes, 9 years to go. He spent 5 years, and somebody came to tell him what had happened. You know what happened? This his wife, because of whom he fought and went to prison, the wife had remarried. She had married somebody else. Is there anything wrong with that? Anybody has any objection to that? Well, she couldn't wait for 14 years. So after 5 years, the husband was in jail. The woman went to marry another man. Now, the one that will make you feel sorry for this man most is that this woman went to marry the landlord, the landlord of the house where the son was fighting with her. Apparently, it later became apparent that it is the landlord's son who was the boy of this woman, and because this woman wanted to beat her up. All of this unknown to the husband. The husband now later got to know, after 5 years in prison, the detail of the story. Brothers and sisters, what is that man supposed to do? Is he supposed to kill himself and commit suicide because of the story of what had happened to him? Well, I just gave you this example because something that actually happened. I actually met this same man, in question, and I got the detail of this story from him. But he's very thoughtful. Thank you, Brother Yakin. He's very thoughtful because, well, what do you gain from fight? You have to do sabru at all times. So I'm giving you that example because many people have been buried now, but we cannot wake them up to explain what led to their death. In other words, some fightings can be very dangerous. A man should never fight with his wife, and a woman should not fight with the husband. Anything can happen as a result of that. Let's put that aside. What are the things that make people to fight? Why do people fight? Why do people fight for a lot of reasons, and they fight on top of a lot of reasons. Number one, couples can fight because of chores, as in who does what in the house. It can bring a discord, and discord can lead to any other thing. Because of money, and I think that's the one that trends the most, fight because of money, financial matters in the family. Fight because of the children, especially child upbringing. From the time they gave birth to the baby to the naming ceremony, some couples will fight because of the name of the child. They will fight because of how to organize the hakiko for the child or the ceremony for the birth of the baby. They will fight over who is supposed to name the child. They will fight over what the child is supposed to wear. They will fight over for how long is the woman supposed to breastfeed. They will fight and fight and fight every time. Why do people do this? It's because there's a discord that they have refused to put in place. Allah Akbar. Oh, Allah have mercy on us. So beware. Some couples will also fight as to what school should the children go to, as to how much should the school fees be. They will fight to the extent that even the day of the wedding of their child, they will still fight again. Allah Akbar. May Allah save us from that. Couples fight and they have discord because of conjugal relations, bedroom business. This is another one that is trending. Bedroom business can be a major source of problem between husband and wife. If anybody is involved in this, please seek those who can help and assist so that you overcome the bedroom business. Some people won't go into pornography. It's a problem of discord, matters of infidelity, poor communication between husband and wife, insufficient time spent with the family. And sometimes the quality of the time spent with the family can be a problem at the same time. Time with the on the computer, time spent watching TV, vis-a-vis quality time with the family can also be another source of discord. Then jobs. What kind of job are we doing that we don't have time for each other? Jobs can also be a source of problem. Recreation can be sources of problem. Neatness and tidiness of the home can be another source of problem. Annoying habits can also be there. Jealousy, past history, substance abuse, pointless or silly issues can also be problems between husband and wife. Another thing that can bring discord are the matters of in-laws. In-laws between the husband and the people we refer to as. Shall we go on?
Just a moment, Doctor.
All right. So,
sorry, just a moment. Madam, Ustaz Omotunde, please, can you mute your mic, sir? Ustaz Omotunde, please mute your mic. Thank you. So you can go ahead, Doctor.
Thank you very much, Sheikh Kamaruddin. Now, I've just mentioned some of those points in the past to see, okay, why do people fight? Why do they fight? And then people fight to get their way, to win or get their way. Sometimes they fight to vent their, issues. They're angry with each other. They just want to, vent their anger. Some people fight or quarrel in order to gain control over the family. Maybe the husband feels that he's already losing control in the family. He will turn into fight and quarrel. Some people do that just to criticize each other. Some do it to release anger. Some couples quarrel to clear the air of certain misconceptions or to resolve issues or just for the fun of being argumentative. May Allah save us from that. So any of these things can be causes of fight between the couples. So when there are discords among the couples, let me quickly read through some of the points we have in the lecture note. When there's discourse, there are rules to be followed. Number one, you have to avoid scoffing and humiliating each other, belittling one another. Allahu Akbar. Not to be arrogant against each other. Scoffing and belittling, you see that in the glorious Quran, where Allah says, Allah says, oh, you believe, let nobody scoff or look down on the other person, because maybe that the person you are scoffing and making jest of is better than you. And let no man do this against the woman, let no woman do this against the man. For that, let's understand very well. Some couples are of the habit of abusing each other, of cursing one another. Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar. You need to see some husbands will be cursing their wife. It will be like you will never, how do they put it? You will never see anything good in your life. You will never see anything good from your children. You never, Allah Akbar. This is not nice. It's not part of what the Quran teaches us. Some women will be cursing their husbands. They will be, not just abuse, curse, placing curse on their husbands. Why? Because they see discord. No, the rule of the Sharia is that let no believer do this to another believer. You see a lot more of the verses that we put there. وَلَا تَلْمِزُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. Don't defame yourself. Don't talk down on each other. And then don't backbite each other. Don't curse each other. Don't condemn each other. Allah says in Quran chapter 104 verse 1, وَيْلُ لِكُلِّ هُمَزَةٍ لُمَزَةٍ. Allah Akbar. Curse or woe of Allah betides the person who does harms and lams. What is the meaning of harms? Defaming somebody's character. And then lumaza is somebody who is a slanderer. None of this is nice. None of this is acceptable. In fact, a verse of the Quran says, "Wala taqtulu anfusakum." Don't kill yourselves. Quran chapter 4 verse 29. Don't kill yourself. Meaning that sometimes you kill somebody even when the person is still alive. So there are three principles you must understand. Don't oppress somebody. Don't let somebody else oppress you. Don't oppress anyone. Don't allow another person to oppress you, and don't oppress yourself. Those are the three things. Don't oppress anyone. Don't allow someone to oppress you, and don't oppress yourself. Don't abuse anyone. Don't allow somebody to abuse you, and don't abuse yourself. Don't kill anybody. Don't allow somebody else to kill you, and don't kill yourself. When I say killing, it's not until when somebody dies that the person is killed. Some hearts are dead now. They have destroyed the person's heart, the person's commitment to the marriage. Something has been damaged in the heart because of the way they behave towards the person, because of betrayal, because of Allah. But the Quran says, "Al-fitna tu ashaddu min al-qatl." For you to put fitna, to put hardship in people's lives is even harder. It's even more severe than if you kill the person. So when you have betrayed someone, it's like you kill that person. So as a rule, even if there's a discord, avoid killing each other, emotionally or psychologically. Allah Akbar. Then there should be no suspicion. There should be no backbiting. Allah Akbar. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Iyyakum wa zon, fa inna zonna akdabu al-hadith." Keep away from suspicion, because suspicion is the worst of all lies. Wala tajassasu. Do not spy on one another. Wala tahassasu. Do not carry false tales about one another. Then wala tanafasu. Do not look for each other's faults. Wala tahasadu. Don't be jealous. Don't be jealous of each other. Don't be envious of one another. Wala tabaghadu. Don't create enmity among yourself or against one another. Wala tadabaru. And don't keep away from each other. Be Allah's servants. Oh, Allah's servants, be like brothers to one another. All of these things I've mentioned are the rules of discord. If there's a fight or there's a Rasulullah has put in place. Please, brothers and sisters, in Mu'ata of Imam Malik, and it is related by Abu Huraira. The Prophet mentioned Zonni, he mentioned the Tajassus, Tahassus, Tanafas, Tahasud, and Tabagud, and Tadabur. 7 things the Prophet mentioned as rules. Let us keep away from these. If there's any discord or there's any problem, you can fight, you can quarrel, you can disagree, but don't go against these rules, because they are very serious in the sight of Almighty Allah. Let me mention it to you again. The Prophet said, beware of suspicion, because suspicion is the worst of false tales. Do not spy on one another. Do not look for each other's faults. Don't be jealous of one another. Don't be envious of one another. Don't hate one another, and don't desert one another. That means don't keep malice against each other. If you are somebody who keeps malice with your wife or with your husband, it means you are doing something that's against the sunnah of Rasulullah. So what is the Islam? If you keep away, keep going against all the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Among this spying on one another that is trending now is people checking each other's phones. In some homes now, Allah Akbar, in some homes, the wife has already cloned her husband's phone. She can see and she can hear, she can listen to everything the husband is discussing on the phone with another person. This is not acceptable as far as Sharia is concerned. Spying on one another, setting trap against each other, checking each other's phone without the other person's permission, tapping into conversations, eavesdropping into somebody's conversation, hacking each other's information, all of these things are not acceptable in Islam. This is in accordance. I'm picking this off from that hadith that I mentioned now, and I'm trying to translate it to include checking each other's phone as part of it. Many homes have been destroyed because of this. But let me ask you now, what kind of a woman checks her husband's phone? Before you answer the question, answer this one also. What kind of a man puts password on his phone? How do we go about this now? Which of them is guilty? Which of them is less guilty? The man that puts password, some men will put password, that he will put the fingerprint of all the 5 fingers, and he will also use his eyes as one of the passwords to open the phone. Yet, the wife will see crack into it and see all of the side chicks that he's carrying. Why do you have to do that? Why do couples have to go to that extent? Let us fear Almighty Allah and keep away from some of these things. In a nutshell, these are some of the rules of. Thank you, Raji Kazim. Both of them are guilty. So may Allah forgive all of us. All of those who are guilty out there, please let us come out clean. Let us be clean and plain. If you want to put password, maybe you have other reasons. But please, let it not be a reason of zina that you are committing, because you cannot keep password from the angels in recording the secret you are keeping in your phone. And let the wife also be calming down. Try and be calming down. It's not every time you monitor your husband. Where are you going? What are you doing? Who are you talking to? Who just called you? Who just smiled at you? You are smiling in your sleep. Who are you dreaming about? Some people pick trouble out of that. If their husband comes home and he says he's not hungry, they will suspect that he must have gone to eat in the house of BC Sister Aisha. Allah Akbar. May Allah forgive us and save us from that. What are the results that come from this kind of things, going against the sunnah of the Prophet in keeping away from these 7 things we have mentioned? Number 1, there will be withdrawal. Both husband and wife will start keeping away from each other. There will be avoidance. There will be silent treatment. They will start don't suspect and don't give room for suspicion. Thank you for that. There will be silent treatment. That means there will be what we call malice. People will be mean towards one another. They'll be, breaking promises they made to love one another. Allah Akbar. You need to know what husband and wife promise each other before they marry. But as soon as they marry, they both start breaking these promises. May Allah forgive us, all of us. Then people begin to feel unwanted. They feel put down. They feel useless. They feel abused. They feel worried, and they feel insulted. People feel ignored. They feel unloved. They feel hurt. They feel anger. They feel hopeless because they don't know the rule of discord. Let us beware and find ways of resolving. Firstly, that let us make peace between ourselves so that all of these marital problems and discords will be a thing of the past. Then what can you do? Take responsibility for what you do or what you don't. Fight fair. Listen to one another. Don't try to be mind readers of each other. Clarify what you think your spouse is saying. If you need to cool down, take time out and be calming down. Please. La takdhab, la takdhab, la takdhab. That's how the Prophet advised somebody who said, give me advice, Ya Rasulullah. The Prophet said, don't get angry, and don't get angry the 3rd time. Meaning that be calming down everybody so that Almighty Allah will make matters to be easier for each and every one of you. Now, what should the third parties do, you and I, for couples? The Quran says, وَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ شِقَاقَ بَيْنِهِمَا فَبَعَثُوا حَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهِ وَحَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهَا in yurida islahan yuwafiqillahu bainahuma inna Allaha kana aliman khabira. The Quran says, if you fear there'll be a breach of trust between the husband and wife, if you fear that the cord is going to be discorded between husband and wife, then let there be a just person, an arbitrator from his family and an arbitrator from her family. If they both wish for peace, Allah will cause reconciliation between them. In other words, marriages should not go on solo. Don't say it is me and my husband or me and my wife alone who will resolve everything. There are some issues that you may not be able to resolve. It is not wrong in Sharia for you to involve people that will come and make peace between both of you. And for the rest of us too, the Quran says, وَإِن طَائِفَتَانِ مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ اقْتَتَلُوا فَأَصْلِحُوا بَيْنَهُمَا. If two parties among the believers should fight or should quarrel, make peace between them both. In other words, it's an amr, it's a command of Allah that if you see husband and wife, they have problem, please intervene between them. Intervene, but do not interfere. Do you want me to say that again? You can intervene, but don't interfere. If you see that there's problem and they come to you, please make peace. Even if they do not come to you and you observe that things are not going on well, you are permitted by the Sharia to intervene, to call him and say, Brother Adebambo, please, what is happening? You don't look happy. You look worried. Is it a problem with your wife? If it is, let us know so that we can talk to her. You know, that kind of thing, that's an intervention where the husband will save his face and the wife will also save her face by people who are close to them coming together, calling the two of them together and resolving the issues between them. I hope you understand. Now, that is called sulhu as far as the Sharia is concerned. I want you to read through the lecture note, and then you see so many other verses and ahadith that I've mentioned in the paper. Then Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded us to be just and to be kind towards ourselves. And I'm moving towards the end of the discussion now by talking about keeping the peace. Number one, everything and everyone must fall in place. Who is in charge? Who is the leader? There should be no democracy as to who is the husband between husband and wife. I hope we all understand that the husband is supposed to be the leader. You remember the verses recited by that our ustaz that recited when we began this program. He recited that verse of the Quran where Allah says, "Ar-rijalu qawwamuna 'ala an-nisa." Men are the protectors of women. Bima faddala ba'dhum 'ala ba'd, because Allah has favored one party above the other. Wa bima anfaqu min amwalihim, because of what they spend from their wealth. And the verse goes on and on to tell us that, look, these are the conditions for being Mr. Husband. To be a husband, you have to live up to be a husband. You have to do your job. You have to assume your role. You have to do the best of what you are supposed to do. The Prophet ﷺ made it to be very easy for the women. Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar. I want you to listen to this. So the Prophet ﷺ gave four doors to Al-Jannah, 4 doors to paradise for women. That of the men, you see, it is just qawamun, just be the leader and spend for your family. But for the woman, the Prophet said, if she can keep these 4 things, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant her al-Jannah to Firdaus. And listen to the Prophet said, إِذَا صَلَّتِ الْمَرْأَةُ خَمْسَهَا. If a woman should observe her 5 daily prayers, as at when due, and with the fear of Almighty Allah, وَصَوْمَتْ شَهْرُهَا, and she fasts in the month of Ramadan, إِيمَانًا وَاحْتِسَابًا, with faith and with recourse to Almighty Allah. And number 3, وَحَفِظَتْ فَرْجَهَا, and she protects her chastity. She protects her private part. And number 4, وَأَطَاعَتْ زَوْجَهَا, and she is obedient to her husband. You know what Allah is going to do for her if she does these 4 things? قِيلَ لَهَا, in the day of judgment, to be said to her, أُدْخُلِ الْجَنَّةِ, enter into the paradise, min ayyil abwabi shi'ta, through whichever door that you want. Allah Akbar. Allah will be like Madam Aisha or Madam Maryam or Madam Habiba. Allah will say, if you have fulfilled these 4 things, enter into the paradise of Allah through whichever door that you want. This is a shortcut for all women, and I want women to take advantage of this. Now, what is the role of the man in the whole of this thing? إذا صلت المرأة خمسة, if a woman performs her 5 daily prayers, it takes a good husband to be able to make praying 5 times daily easy for the wife. The more you are able to facilitate it for your wife, that salat is easy for her, you are going to be sharing in her reward. Number 2, was so much shahraha. If a woman is to fast and you make it to be easy for her, look, I'm telling you, brothers, it takes certain level of rest of mind to observe salat 5 times a day. It takes certain level of peace that the woman enjoys to be able to observe her salat and to be able to fast. You know, it takes a lot of good provision from the husband. You have to feed her well for her to be able to fast, and her neck will not break because of fasting. Don't you remember when somebody asked Rasulullah and said, "Ya Rasulullah, what are the duties of us towards our wives?" The Prophet said, feed her when you feed yourself. Clothe her when you clothe yourself. Never you slap her in the face. Don't demean her. Don't hate her and don't desert her. See, before a woman will be able to achieve these things, it requires a good husband like you. If you are a good husband, then fasting will be easy for her. Then what have you thought? Farjaha. It will be easy for her to guard her chastity. A woman that is starving of companionship, a woman that is starving of bedroom business, how is it going to be easy for her to guard her private part when there are many men out there who are ready to love and care for her? They gave you a woman to marry out of trust from her parents. See what you have turned her into now. Will you want anybody to do the same to your daughter? The question is, for a woman to guard her chastity, it requires a good husband to be able to make a woman to be okay like that. Women are human beings now. They also have blood flowing in their flesh. You abandon her, you don't touch her, you don't talk to her, you don't joke with her, you don't laugh with her, you don't provide for her. You are not there for her. You are not her best friend. You are not her confidant. She cannot seek advice from you. You turn everything upside down against her. Why? If you are this kind of a man, then your wife will not enter paradise. And I will tell you the reason why your wife should be in paradise. Because if you facilitate her being in paradise, she's going to ask after you in the day of judgment. No matter where you are, even if they have thrown you to hellfire. If this woman should make a request that, oh Allah, bring my husband, I want to see my Kamaruddin. Allah will say they should go and bring you. I'm saying this by myself. They should go and bring you and join you with her. Because I'm saying that because when people are in paradise, the Quran says anything they ask for, walakum fiya ma tashtahi anfusukum, walakum fiya ma tad'un. Anything your heart desires, and anything you call for will be brought to you. That's why I'm very sure that if Abdul Wahid is not in paradise and his wife is in paradise, the wife can ask and say, bring my husband for me. Allah Akbar. And then the last one is if a woman is able to be obedient to her husband. Any man that a woman will obey, it means that man is also obedient to Allah. If you are not obedient to Almighty Allah, your wife has no right to be obedient to you. Allah Akbar. Obedience from his wife. A man that is carrying side chicks, what kind of command can he give to the wife when he knows that he's guilty as charged? Oh, Allah forgive all of us for whatever mistake and errors we have made. A man that is not fulfilling his duties to his wife, how will the woman's obedience to him be making any meaning? It's not going to make any sense now. May Allah forgive us all for whatever errors we have made. In other words, take note of this. Women, be obedient to your husbands. Apart from obedience, a woman is supposed to, okay, thank you for the time. A woman is supposed to be loyal to her husband. A woman is supposed to show respect to her husband. If you're able to do all of this, and don't forget the verse the brother read earlier on, فَصَالِحَاتٌ قَانِتَاتٌ حَافِظَاتٌ لِلْغَيْبِ بِمَا حَفِظَ اللَّهُ. Righteous women are those women that are qanitatun, obedient to their husbands, hafizatun lil ghaib, and they guard their chastity bima hafizallah, the way Allah wants them to guard it. And I pray Allah is going to make it easy for all of us to do the best in what we do. obedience to your husband is very important. The Prophet ﷺ said, لو كنت آمرا أحدا أن يسجد لأحد لأمرت المرأة أن تسجد لزوجها من عظم حقه عليها. If I were to command anyone to prostrate for another person, I would have asked the wife to prostrate for the husband because of obedience and the enormity of his right upon her. In other words, the Prophet ﷺ has enjoined husband and wife to be loyal and to be obedient to Almighty Allah. Let the wife obey Allah and obey her husband, and let her husband obey Allah and his Rasul. If we can do this, this is going to be the basis for the solutions to all of the marital problems that we are having. And may Allah forgive us. Let me now summarize it all now by mentioning all of these approaches to the problems. You know, we are talking about marital discord, and this is a problem on its own. Number one approach to problem is when you attempt to solve that problem. When you solve a problem. What does it mean when you solve a problem? There's a problem, and then you remove it, then you solve it. There's a problem in the marriage, and then you divorce. It's like you may even think you have solved the problem, whereas it is not all problems that can be solved. I hope you understand. It's not all problems that can be solved. Solutions to some problems are problems on their own. Solutions to certain problems are bigger problems on their own. So sometimes you solve the problem if you can solve it. Number two, you resolve the problem. What does it mean when you resolve? You resolve, that is, you make a resolution to live with the problem like that. It is painful, it is hurtful, but you made a resolution to stay in that marriage like that because of other reasons that you have. You are thinking of the children, you are thinking of your akhirah, you are thinking of what's going to happen to you, and you are thinking of the outer effect, the after effect of solving that problem. Sometimes you now make a resolve to live with the problem like that. Number three, you dissolve the problem, meaning that you no longer look at it as problem anymore. You have already dissolved it. That means it's like when you put salt inside water, it will dissolve. The salt is still there in the water, but you can't see it again. And rather than the salt become a problem for the soup, the salt will make the soup to be sweeter. So sometimes your approach to marital problem may be to dissolve the problem as if it doesn't exist again, and you begin to enjoy life based on your own circumstance and your situation and your condition. In other words, you are not comparing your marriage to somebody else's own. Rather than for you to see it as a problem, you are now seeing it as a blessing. You understand? You don't see it as a problem again, you see it as a blessing. Sometimes you dissolve your problem by weighing Allah Akbar, by looking at the fact that the blessing in that marriage is much more than the complaint that you have. The complaint you have is just simple. It is just that nobody is perfect. You cannot have it all in a marriage. Your wife cannot have everything, and the husband cannot have everything. So the ones that you have, you weigh it to be heavier than the ones that you lack. That way you dissolve the problem. It doesn't even give you a headache anymore. You have already accepted, and it is now becoming to be a source of joy to you, not a source of headache. And number four, you involve the problem. What do I mean by involve? You involve other people to come and solve this problem for you. If a problem is too much for you to bear, involve those who know, involve the experts, involve the learned ones, involve the arbiters, involve the third parties, involve your advisors, involve those people that can come in and resolve the issue for you. In other words, involving others in our problems can just be the solution to everything that we need. I hope you understand. And when I say involve also, maybe it is high time you involve Allah and His Rasul. Involve Allah and His Rasul in your problems. You can't find everything on Google search. Sometimes you have to go down to the basics. What did Rasulullah say? What did Allah say? Go to the first alu ahla dhikri in kuntum la ta'lamun. Ask those who know if you don't know. Your problem may be psychological. Your problem may be spiritual. Then involve those who will make dua for you. If you can't make dua by yourself, at least involve Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in everything that you do. It's not by wisdom that marriages become okay. It is by Allah's rahmah that marriages can go well. Some of us who will be feeling good that yes, my marriage is good. It is not you, it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So involve Almighty Allah. And finally, number five, evolve. evolve. What do I mean by evolve? Evolve means transform, overgrow these problems. Stop complaining. You have been complaining for the past how many years you have been married? You are supposed to be better than this. Your iman is supposed to be better than this. You have been attending Usra, you have been attending lectures, you are supposed to have learned better. Grow, evolve. Stop quarreling over petty things. Stop quarreling over things that don't make any sense. Who quarrel up, brother Kamaruddin? Who he up? Has anybody ever quarreled and they receive a alert in their phone? Husband and wife, you keep quarreling, you keep fighting. Your children are grown up, they even see you fighting. Evolve. Stop crawling like worms. Both husband and wife, let us bury the hatchet. Begin to evolve. Start living a good life. Start enjoying your marriage. Start enjoying your husband. Start enjoying your wife. Marriages are meant to be enjoyed, not to be endured. Stop holding to enmity of the past. Stop holding on to resentment of the past. Begin to understand that everybody has phases in their lives. You may be in the phase where things are difficult for you now. You must understand that you are supposed to evolve, rise above that level. If it is finance, you are a professional, and your profession is not paying your bills, why don't you get another job? Why don't you add to your CV? Why don't you evolve and move beyond this level that you find yourself? If you make effort to evolve, Almighty Allah will support you. Don't forget that a butterfly is not a better caterpillar. A butterfly is a totally different creature from caterpillar. If your life has been that of caterpillar crawling up and down, evolve and become a butterfly so that you can also soar colorfully. This is the dream of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the dream of the scholars when it comes to goodness in marriage. And this is why, let me leave you with this verse finally. Quran chapter 30, verse 21. Allah says, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُم مَّوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. It is out of the signs of Allah that He has created for you mates from among yourselves, so that you might find peace and tranquility in one another. Then وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمَا مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُم مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. And Allah put love and mercy between your hearts. Love and mercy. These are very important ingredients in our marriages, so that the cordings will not be infected, so that the cordings will be mutually beneficial for the husband and the wife. May Allah forgive me. May Allah forgive you too. Thank you very much for your attention. And may Allah forgive me where I'm wrong. May Allah forgive all of you too. May Allah have mercy on all of us. I thank you very much for the opportunity, and I thank myself for thanking you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Absolutely enthralling. Thank you very much. We appreciate Dr. Abdul Fattah Adeyemi. For the past 1 hour and a little more than that, we have had a very, very engaging session with him. No doubt about that. And I'm very sure Doctor must be seeing some of the reaction at his training presentation now. That is just to tell you how much people have actually sunk into some of these messages out of your beautiful submission today. It's an absolutely no-brainer. Thank you very much. And I did say, in terms of those sensitive issues around now, marital issues and all of that, especially in the wake of economic downturn following lockdown in the wake of the pandemic, and of course, it has actually, further, aggravated the issues. And so that is why this is coming at a very good opportunity to also have this learning at this particular delicate time. We appreciate you again, Doctor, for this very, very wonderful submission. And I hope you still stick around, because there are a lot of reactions already here. I can see some questions already here for you. So we are going to be taking on that now in just a short while. So permit me to our audience now, that your question should be dropped on that Q&A box, the question and answer box. That is where we are going to be taking some of those, your reactions for Doctor to be able to attend to them. So again, we say Jazakumullahu khairan to Doctor for that very, very thought-provoking presentation that centered on marital discourse, the causes, management, and Islamic solution. That is what we have been extracting over the last 1 hour, and it's really been worth the while. So we're going to be moving on now because we really don't have too much time on our hands. And for those of you who have been requesting to have this session, the recorded session sent to you, I'm very sure the organizers are listening, and I think that can be worked out. And I'm also aware that the link, particularly the YouTube link that was sent to you, can actually also do that for you. So that is that as regard them having a second chance to look at this session one more time. So again, we say thank you to Doctor. He's still going to be very much around with us as he's going to be taking reaction to some of your questions. But in the meantime, permit me to acknowledge the presence of some of our esteemed personalities who join us in the course of that presentation by Doctor. First off is Alhaj Mansour Shogbuyi, who is the chairman of this platform that is talking about TCP. He joined us in the course of the presentation. Alhaji Mansour Shogbuyi, good to have you. We'd like you to say question to the house.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much. And then also we have our Sheikh, Ustaz Alhaj Abdul Wahid Omotunde, who is, by the way, the head, that is the wali of the parent body of TCP, the organizers of this event. So we also like Ustaz Omotunde to also put himself up for recognition. Ustaz Omotunde, are you there? Okay, all right. All right, moving on now. So quickly, we will join Madam Shakiruddin Animashan, who is finance manager of TCP. He has a word to share with us. It's just going to be in about a minute because of our time. So once we are done with that, then we come back to taking some of your reactions, comments, and your questions. But first, let's listen to the finance manager, Madam Shakiruddin Animashan.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We thank Almighty Allah who has made it possible for us to start the sailing of the TCP, the Congress Professional TCP ship. And by the grace of God, we are the executive end, at the TMC end. We are determined to make it a Titanic ship that is going to dissolve all issues as regards human life, as regards the political, economic, and social life of human, and in all facets of life. But to make this possible, we are calling on you to join us, because there is no cause in the world, there is no project in the world, there is no change in the world. It always involves people of like-minded mind coming together to pull in their wealth, to put in their time, to pull in their knowledge, to pull in their devotion, to pull in all they have to make the change positive. Whether it's for positive change, whether it's for negative change, it's all the same. But this is for a cause, for a positive cause, to bring in positive changes in all facets of human endeavor, and is an enormous step, because we are not looking at the nation alone, we are looking at a global change in the whole world. So this is why we are calling on you to join us. Our membership is open. We are calling on you to join us as a member, to join us in bringing in your wealth towards this cause, and to donate enormously towards this cause. As you agree with me that it's going to be an enormous cause. It's going to be a Titanic cause. It's going to be a cause that is going to change the whole world. And this is what we have in mind. We acknowledge the fact there are a lot of professional bodies in the world, but we are also coming in to bring in our own support, to bring in our own idea. So we cannot do it alone. We need your idea. We need your support. We need your moral support. We need your financial support. We need your intellectual support. We need your professional support. They're going to share with you our account details for you to donate. Please donate enormously towards this cause, so that at the end of the day, we are all going to be glorious. We are going to thank Almighty Allah, and we pray that Almighty Allah continue to bless us, continue to guide us, continue to provide for us as we all donate towards this cause. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much, Madam Animashan. So there we heard from the finance manager speaking to the reason why you need to support the cause of the TCP, particularly considering some of the projects that they have on their hand. This monthly webinar is one, and quite a number of other projects that is in the offering for your pleasure. So all of this will require funds to be able to actually make them a reality, and that is why we're making this clarion call to all of you, particularly our loyal participants and regular callers on this session, to see giving your widow's mite in support of our cause. So on the screen is the account details of the TCP. It's an FCMB account, and the account numbers you can see on your screen. So thank you. We would like to get to hear from you if there are other ways by which you can also render or give out support to us. Thank you very much as we anticipate your contribution most pointedly. Thank you very much. So we're going to go back to Dr. Adeyemi now. For information, Dr. Adeyemi has made himself available for us to actually get in touch with him if you really want to consult him on related matters and all of that. He has dropped his WhatsApp number on the it's dropped it on the call for us. We can see it in that chat room. It is his WhatsApp number, and I'm very sure that he would like that to keep it at chat messages across to him. So there you have it on the screen. It's been shared again. In the chat room, it's been shared again. The account number, the phone number is 080323 and to the end of it. So you have it there. You can always get in touch with him. That is why we also like to advise that you join the growing community of TCP, particularly on Telegram, where you have an opportunity to also interact and also interface with some of those of our experts that we bring to facilitate our monthly webinar. So it's an opportunity for you to continue to take the conversation that we bring on here beyond this place. So thank you very much, Doctor, for that very, very profound gesture from you. We appreciate that. So we're going to be taking the questions now. A whole lot of them we have. I just hope that time will permit us to take every one of them, but at least we'll try as much as possible to take a significant chunk of some of these questions. To start with, have Malam Balogun Bashir Abiedu on this particular first question. I hope Doctor is there with us.
Yes, I'm here.
All right. So Malam Bashir is he joined us all the way from Warri, that I'm very sure. So he has about 2 questions here. The first one is about a civil servant who had to be moved from one place to another. And in the course of this movement, of course, with families, how does he manage the situation of his frequent movement due to call of duty? That is his first question. Then the second is a marriage that has been devoid of the bundle of joy, that is children, and that is becoming an issue that the wife is finding very unbearable, especially the pressure from mother-in-law and families. That how can such a couple handle the pressure that comes with barrenness at the moment?
Okay, thank you very much. Let me see if I can make it as brief as Allah will permit me. The first one is somebody who is posted here and there, as a civil servant. Some people who are members of the armed forces they also face similar challenges. They are posted from one station to another station. Security workers, let me put it that they are always up and doing day and night, serving the nation and offering security to the life and property of all citizenry. Well, for such situations, there are aspects of connection. This coding we are talking about. Once you have somebody's phone number, you're already coded to that person. And I want husband and wife to utilize that as much as possible, especially because Allah has blessed us with technology. And for everything you see, Islam has permitted it unless Allah and His Rasul are forbidding it. The same technology people use for evil, husband and wife can actually use it for good. So make use of video chats, make use of Zoom, this type that we are having, to speak to your wife, speak to your children, speak to everybody. In fact, you can be connected about 3 times every day, to the extent that you can speak to the children one after the other before they go. I know of somebody like that who he can even assist the children to do their homeworks from wherever he is, and the children only need to put the camera to show what they are writing and what they are reading. And the children see that something of a lot of fun. You know, they enjoy it. It's so nice. There's a smart TV people have nowadays. This one that can watch, you can do Netflix, all of those things that people watch to while away their time. Many of these smart TVs, you can do screen transfer, such that the children will be looking at you, looking at themselves on the TV. And it's a lot of fun for the children. The wife also, in her bedroom, you can chat with her, you can discuss. There's no limit to what you can discuss with each other as husband and wife. This one can be keeping both of you connected until when you are able to see each other eventually. So for those who don't have any other means, apart from having to travel here and there, you should understand that this is just part of life. We cannot say you should stop your job. And this is also a phase in life. There will come a time when you have more time together, maybe when you're on leave or when you're on break or when you have your pass to go and see your family. Then you now make it a qualitative time to spend together with one another. So that's my advice for those who are living very far. Please try and see what you can do and manage the situation as you have it like that. Sometimes marriage is managed. Then the person who, the question about in-laws is very complicated. It depends on who the in-laws are, the kind of things they do, and the kind of intentions they have. In some marriages, some in-laws have not finished bringing up their children. So even after their children get married, they don't let go. They still want to monitor and ensure that you feed their son the way they were feeding him when he was under them, or you feed their daughter the way their daughter was. We can't blame in-laws a lot because many of us are now in-laws now. You cannot tell your in-laws to keep quiet when things are not going on well. And because of our nature, we like to do things alone. This so-called modern civilization makes us to put away every other person. It's only me and my husband. That kind of livelihood is not appropriate. Unless and except you see that the in-laws are bringing elements that are not Islamic into your marriage. It's until then that you can resist certain things and don't let it get out of hand. But no matter how much of resistance you put, don't forget that family ties are still very important and essential. I want to advise people who are going through this in-law kind of problem to speak to the Umara, that's the leaders of the organization, so that they can look at the details and they can be able to advise. We cannot say now because we've not heard from the husband and wife. We also need to hear from the in-laws too before we know exactly what we are addressing. So I want to advise you, don't give up and don't be tired of the matter. Speak to those who are very close, who know you very well. They'll be able to tell you better how you can handle the in-law situation. Whichever situation is, may Allah make it easy for you. Alhamdulillah.
Thank you very much, Doctor. So the next question is from somebody who would like to be anonymous. He has about 3 questions too. First is his first question is, how can one relate well with a wife who sees her husband's view or suggestion on religious matters as being too strict? The wife considered the husband's view on religious matters has always been too strict. Then the second question is, how does a husband manage his wife who is richer? The wife who is richer than the husband, how can the couple manage their situation? Then lastly is the issue between mother-in-law and the wife who lives in the same abode, although it may be different apartment, but in the same abode. So how can husband actually handle the usual rift that tends to come up?
Thank you very much, Sheikh Amaruddin. Each of those questions are very, very heavy. Now, the first one, if the husband is too strict, I wish on this group, I wish only men that are available there. I would have really loved to address the men. That's something I wouldn't want the women to hear, but let me just say the part with one side of my mouth so that the women will not hear. Brothers, please a bit less. I want you to study the last sermon of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. When the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, Allah has appointed these women as helpers for you. Allah has appointed them as helpers for you, and they have been kept under your care by Almighty Allah's injunction. Brothers should please beware. It is not everything that you can enforce. It's not everything you can put in place. If you follow the Sunnah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, you see that the Prophet spent 13 good years in Makkah, and he endured and he did not stop his dawah. For 13 years in Makkah before he did Hijrah, the Prophet had to endure a lot of things. And we can learn from his patience in that regard. We may have difference of opinions and difference of principle with our there's a statement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when he sent Musa and Harun to Fir'aun. Almighty Allah said he should speak to Fir'aun qawlan layyinan, speak to him kindly, speak to him in good ways, so that Fir'aun can return back to guidance. For the woman who says the husband is too strict, strict about what? Maybe your husband says you should use veil. Maybe your husband says you use veil, or he says you should wear hijab. That is not being strict now. He's just telling you what Allah asks you to do. But if it comes to normal everyday thing, then maybe it's too difficult to satisfy, or maybe he doesn't know how to joke, he doesn't know how to laugh, maybe he's too stingy, he's not ready to come down to the level of the wife, then we say the man has problem with him. Let us all try, men. These women have been kept in our case. We have an amana between them and Almighty Allah and us too. We paid dowry because of them, and they have been put under our care. Let us be patient with them. I'm appealing to men now. Please let us be patient with these women. Women have been created to be beings of ease. No woman likes difficulty. The marriage life is like a tree and a bird. A bird can be in the tree. If the tree is comfortable, the bird will stay. If the tree is not comfortable, the bird will run away. It is not marriage anymore when we now put that bird inside the cage. Don't ever cage a woman with too many principles, too many rules, and too many laws that are going to, dampen her spirit and restrain her from growing. I pray Allah will make this easy for the men to understand what I'm saying. As for the other question about what did you say? The other question is
the wife who is richer than the husband.
The wife who is richer than the husband. MashaAllah, we see that in also the Sunnah. Khadija radiallahu anha was much richer than Rasulullah, even older than Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Look, brothers, let us be calming down. Allah is Ar-Razak. Allah yabusutu rizqa liman yasha wa yaqdir. It is Allah that gives arziki to whoever He wills. He gives more to some people, He gives less to some people. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed your wife more than you, don't ruin your life, don't ruin your akhirah with envy and jealousy. Understand very well that it's Allah that has blessed her more than you. So calm down, enjoy. Fakulu minha haniya mari'a. Eat and enjoy from this wealth to the best of whatever she's able to release for you. Don't be envious of her. Don't be jealous of her. She is not the one who made this risk by herself. It's Allah that has granted it to her. And when we say you should be calm and gentle, that doesn't mean that you should lose respect in the family. Ensure that you are able to maintain respect, but not out of arrogance. I hope you understand what I mean. Some arrogance cannot bring respect. I'm trying to say how I can describe it, so that you will not become a mumu man, you will not become a stupid man because your wife is richer. Then you can't take decision again. You cannot put the house in order again. No, it's not all about money. Money is important, but don't let because you don't have money make you to not become a useless man in the house. Let your wife understand that these are your principles and these are the things you do. But if your intention is not clean towards your wife, you will continue to remain like that, and your wife will continue to be richer, and you continue to feel bad. You continue to feel sad. May Allah save us from that. In other words, just calm down. It is not her making, it's Allah you must respect. It's Allah who has made her to be richer. Accept it like that. In fact, support her in her business. Let her business continue to grow. Admonish her to give zakat and admonish her to give sadaqah. Even though you can also tell her to give sadaqah to you as a husband so that you can pray for her and Allah will give her barakah for that. But don't ever wish or pray that her wealth should be destroyed. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam never wished that Khadija's wealth should be destroyed. Rather, they worked together, and that earned a lot of respect for the Prophet in the eyes of Khadija radiallahu anha. May Allah guide us right and make it easy for us to do the best in this regard. The third one is about, yes, it's still the same in-law thing we're talking about. It is very difficult to judge this, my brother. It's very hard because some of us, we have our attitudes towards this older generation. They have their ways of doing things and we have our own ways. Unless وَإِنْ جَاهَدَكَ عَلَىٰ أَنْ تُشْرِكَ بِي مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٌ فَلَا تُطِعْهُمَا وَصَاحِبْهُمَا فِي الدُّنْيَا مَعْرُوفًا. The Quran says, unless if they make effort to make you make shirk to Allah, it is only then you will not obey them, you will not follow them. But you should be sahib, you should be friends to them, you should be close to them in every other thing. So long as they are not trying to complicate life for you, you are supposed to relate with your in-law. Please let us try and see the best of what we can. Your husband's families are your family too, and your wife's families are also your families. Let us relate well with them to the best of our abilities. If there's any quarrel or any misunderstanding, get those who are learned to come in and they resolve these issues between all of you. Jazakumullahu khairan.
Thank you very much, Doctor. This next question is from a sister, Aminat Umar. She wants to know, maybe after a crisis rocked family, and they are trying to make up, but the husband insists on divorce. That's against the wish of the lady. That what can such a woman do in this case?
Yes, thank you, Sheikh Awardin. It's unfortunate most of the time is the women you see making effort for marriages to be together. It's unfortunate that men take advantage of the fact that we have many women out there who are looking for husbands. And so those days, you remember now, about 6 men may be fighting to marry just one woman. But nowadays, we have about 50 women that are fighting to marry one man. I'm putting that way because I once heard a hadith of the Prophet who said there will come a time when it's going to get to that extent. Maybe because of that, the shakara of men have now become too much. A woman will be begging him. A woman will even kneel down. Imagine, a woman will even go to the extent of kneeling down and be begging a man, please don't chase me out. And this man will say, be adamant. Oh Allah, please take charge of the life of this woman so that she will not be oppressed by this man that is stubborn. Nevertheless, we don't know what has transpired between them. We don't know the kind of offense that is so much that the man cannot forgive. But we want to admonish the lady not to give up with dua. And I find it very difficult to say this. Please, all of you should please bear with me. If it happens that this man still refuses to take this woman back, let this woman accept the destiny of Almighty Allah and let her pray that Almighty Allah that gave a husband that was better than the late husband to Salma. Almighty Allah will give you a husband that is much better than this one that you are begging and refuse to listen. We have seen that in history before. We have seen that among the lives of the Sahaba, that a man will leave a woman only for a better man to marry her. I wish this can be done, and I wish I can easily tell this same woman that we are talking about to leave this man and let's go to a marriage supermarket and choose another husband. Unfortunately, there's no marriage supermarket where we can always get the husband for her. So if this woman eventually divorces or the husband eventually leaves her, and all of you brothers in TMC, and all of you brothers in TMC refuses to marry her or to get somebody else that will marry her, all of us, we are going to answer questions in the day of judgment. Do you want me to repeat that again? I don't need to say it again, but what I understand very well is Allah has put talaq as a last resort in Sharia, in Islam. If it happens to any woman, it is not because she's a bad person, it is just that that's the way Allah has made it to be. There is no marriage that can last forever. There's an expiry date for every marriage. You either divorce or one of you will die. In this case, if her own is divorce, please let us not make it a problem for her. If the husband has his reasons for not taking her back, let us not judge him also, because we don't know what reasons he has for refusing to take her back. So let everybody abide by whatever the Sharia has provided, and let everybody fear Almighty Allah in the decisions that they make. But let everybody trust Almighty Allah, that no matter what, Allah will always be there for the one that is righteous. وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. You find that in Surah Talaq. Whoever fears Allah, Allah will give a way out to that person.
All right, thank you again, Doctor, for your very, very candid response there. So now the next question I have is polygamy related. The first question is from one brother, Saliu Aliu. And then I have another question around that from a lady as well. So, but let me start with that of brother Saliu Aliu. He is asking to know what advice you would give to a man who wants to marry the second wife, but the economy of the country is causing hindrance. That is the question from the brother. Then I have the question relating to that from a sister now by the name Mutiat. She's asking that is it Islamic for a man to marry another wife into the same room without into the same room with the first wife without the consent of this wife, and that this new bride is now spending months on the first wife bed and her luggages inside that same room? So that is the question from the lady. Of course, that is related to the question from that our brother. So we want to react to that, sir.
Thank you very much. Let me start from the question of the sister. The same room is not nice. Now they can't consummate marriage in the same room when another person is there. So if he has to marry, please, even if it's going to be one room face me and face you somewhere he wants to rent, he should go ahead and do that. It's not nice, in my own opinion, that you should keep two women in the same room for whatever reason. People used to do it those days, but nowadays it is not advisable. I want to encourage the man, if that's what he wants to do, let the whole ummah support him. This is the thing where we don't have Sharia in place. Where the Sharia, from zakat money, we can rent house for him so that he can settle down with his wife. We rent house for him and pay 2 years rent so that after the 2 years, he will be on his own. This is part of what we can use sadaqah that we collect. We raise funds and we do a lot of goodness in that regard. So I want to suggest that the brother who is trying to marry the second woman inside the same room, please let us advise and admonish him that it's not advisable to do that. Maybe the lady is just exaggerating, but I don't think somebody should do that, put women in the same room.
I really do hope that it is not
exaggeration. But for the first one, the brother wants to marry because, but he doesn't have the finance. Sorry, I may have to quote this hadith of Prophet for you again. And the Quran says, وَلْيَسْتَعْفِفِ الَّذِينَ لَا يَجِدُونَ نِكَاحًا حَتَّى يُغْنِيَهُمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ. Those who don't have the financial means of marriage, let them keep themselves chaste until Allah enriches them out of his bounty. That's what the Quran says. And the Prophet said earlier on that we said, يا معشر الشباب من استطاع منكم الباء فليتزوج فإنه أغض للبصر وأحسن للفرج ومن لم يستطع فعليه بالصوم فإنه له وجاء. All you young people, any of you is able to have al-ba'a, that is, you are able to maintain a woman, marry. If you cannot maintain, you should fast. Now, if you are talking about the second wife and you are not able to maintain her, please continue to fast and continue to pray and continue to be in the community of brothers with only one wife for now, until when Allah provides the financial means for you. However, if your wife, the wife you want to marry, if she has the means to sustain herself for the time being, before you are able to be back on your feet, then you can go ahead and do so with understanding that the second wife is going to take charge of certain part of your financial needs for the time being, because we have some ladies who Allah has blessed them with the means of doing that, and they are ready to sacrifice in order to get a husband that is God-fearing. So many of the brothers that you see are very God-fearing. Unfortunately, they are also not very rich at the same time. So if the lady has the desire to marry such a man, and the man doesn't have the financial capability, why not? If not, every kobo that she spends for that man is sadaqah for her, and is going to establish a lot of goodness for her in the hereafter. If the wife in the house sees that the husband wants to marry another woman and he doesn't have the means, can she support him financially to do that? Yes, we can only be discussing that one if we are in the lifetime of the Sahaba. But for now, I don't know what answer people are going to give. In my opinion, I've seen it before. I don't know about you brothers, I've seen it before, that the first wife supported the husband. Quote me on this thing I'm saying to you. The first wife supported the husband financially to marry the other wife. And now all of them, Allah has blessed all of them in a lot of ways that only if they tell you that you will know. So the thing I'm saying is, If you can afford it, if you have the means as a brother, and you are being realistic with yourself, go ahead and marry. But if on a realistic note, you don't have the means, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Then لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا ما آتاها. Allah has not imposed anything on you except on whatever He has given to you. If you have only one wife because you don't have the means to marry another woman, Allah is not going to punish you for that. It's not a sin on you that you have only one wife because you don't have the means. But it's a sin on you if you take two wives when you cannot take care of them. It's a sin on you if you take another wife and you cannot fulfill your duties and responsibilities on them. Take note of this and let us fear Allah. No matter how desirous we are of doing this polygamy that everybody talks about, it is not for everybody. It is for only those who can do it, and those are the ones who should do it. Those who are not able to do it because of reasons that are best known to them and Allah, it is not a sin for them that they still have only one wife. The only time it's going to become a sin of kifaya, of kifaya is when the ummah, when there are so many women in the ummah and men are not ready to marry them. Any day a woman stays naked without a husband, any day a woman stays, or any night a woman sleeps lonely and worried and tempted to commit zina because the brothers have refused to marry her, and they refuse to marry her not because of financial reasons, but because they are afraid of their wives, themselves and their wives in the day of Qiyamah. They are going to answer Almighty Allah why they allowed a sister to be so tempted and to be so lonely like that. Allah is going to ask us. So this is why brothers should fear Allah. If Allah gives you the means, please go ahead and do it. When we say whether with the consent or with the permission of the other wife, we are saying that because it's part of istihsan, it's part of goodness, and it's part of mutual understanding for you to inform the other wife of your intention to marry another woman. But if informing her is going to disrupt the whole idea, I want you to understand very well that among the conditions for nikah to hold in Sharia, informing a standing wife is not one of them. The permission of your existing wife is not one of the conditions for acceptance of nikah. I hope you understand what I mean. We can count it for ourselves, but because of time, we just leave it like that. Our ustazes will explain all those to us some other time. But the thing is, let there be mutual agreement. Any man that is going to do this, consult those who have already done it so that they can give you an idea of what it entails. If Allah wills, you can ask me outside the group. I may tell you whatever Allah has made me to understand. It is not something you can answer generally in public like this. Forgive me for taking your time.
All right, it's okay. Thank you very much, Doctor. We really do appreciate your time and some of the valuable insight that you have shared with us today. And I'm very sure this will continue to be with us for a very long time to come. Thank you once again. Our time is fast spent. Mogrid is here. Although I'm looking at a particular question, and I'm just hoping that time will permit us to take it. But I'm tempted to ask you to respond to that question if you can make it in just about a minute or less. I feel that question is very important. That is why. So let us quickly take it. Then we take both of them and we'll call time on the session. The question is from an anonymous person here. He said, on the issue of a marriage evolving, so how do you grow past the odds that keeps popping up in your mind? Somebody is hot due to whatever that the partner may have done to him or her, and although they are forgiving themselves, but each time this person remembers, he or she still feels that deep hurt and that sense of betrayal towards his spouse, even though they are supposedly, made up. So, what advice will you give to such a person in one word?
Or to be able to evolve past the hurt that the person has already suffered. Maybe lack of trust, betrayal, or infidelity, and things like that. Yes, the person needs therapy. The person needs therapy. We have all of these things in the glorious Quran, and according to a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, when the person is angered, or the person is hurted, or the person is disappointed, there are so many therapies that we do for such a person. And be it in a lie, the person is going to get over this hurt that they feel. What is the worst thing that somebody can do? What's the worst thing that worst offense that somebody can offend you upon? Last, they say the person committed zina, and the zina the person has committed is against that person and Allah. If Allah decides to forgive that person and you are not ready to forgive the person, how are you going to stand before the Creator in the day of judgment and you refuse to forgive that person? The Quran says, "Afallahu amma salaf," to those who have committed sin. Allah has overlooked the past, including those people who had slept with their mothers before Islam, including those who buried their daughters alive before Islam. All of them, many of them became Sahabiya and Sahabis of the Prophet eventually. Allah says, "La taqnatu min rahmatillah. Inna Allah yaghfiru dhunuba jami'a." Don't lose hope in Allah's mercy. Allah forgive all sins. And you can also say, "La ta'has min rahmatillah." Don't ever lose hope in the mercy of Allah. So if somebody has hurted you, please, you are a human being. You can feel it. It is legitimate. You are a human being. You are not an angel, and you are not a Sahaba either. If it has happened to you, admit it first that it is real. We are not criticizing you. We are not judging you. You are not a bad person. You only need therapy to be able to remove it from your heart. It's not everything that we can just wish away, but you need to go through certain sessions so that this thing can gradually leave your heart. It may involve even the person that has betrayed you, because the person also needs to sincerely apologize, and the person also has to turn a new page so that the fear of being beaten twice will not be there for you. If Allah makes it easy, you can contact some of the learned ones, even in TMT here. I know there are many learned people here. I know TMT very well. If you can take your time and give yourself the time to heal up, you are going to be okay. This evolving we are talking about is not a 24-hour thing. It's not an overnight thing. It can take a while. In fact, I'm telling you, it can take months. For some people, it can take years. But for you to be in the process is what Allah is interested in. Once you are in the process, Allah will assist you about it, and Allah is going to make things to be easy for you in this regard. So don't be afraid for going for therapy. You are a human being. It can happen. May Allah forgive us, and may Allah pardon all of us and overlook our shortcomings.
Well, yeah, thank you very much again, Doctor. We pray Allah continue to strengthen you, to keep you for his cause, and of course, to also increase your knowledge. We can appreciate you more. This has really been a wonderful time with you. We pray Allah continue to be with you. Thank you again. So we are already we're already out of time of this here, like I did say. So we're going to have a closing dua to call the time on this session. But just before I call on Brother Abdul Karim, I really share it for the closing dua. Let me, on behalf of the organizers, appreciate all those who have made this session possible from all of this program, and to all of those of our very, very important personalities who have made time to also be here, and those who are also working behind the scene to make this possible. We say a very big thank you to you, and we Allah continue to be with all of us. So thank you very much for all of those who has made this possible. So we join Brother Abdul Karim. I will really share it for the closing dua.
Allahumma rabbana taqabbal minna innaka anta as-sami'ul alim wa tub alayna ya maulana innaka anta tawwabur rahim. Allahumma ati nufusana taqwaha wa zakkiha anta khairun man zakkaha anta waliyuha wa maulaha. Subhanallahi wa bihamdihi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun, wassalamun alal mursalin, walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin, wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa ala ahli wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Please, as you go, please do bear in mind that the next session that we're going to have is on the 10th of October, Sunday, the 10th of October. That is the next time that will come your way. Until then, we say assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh. Jazakumullah khairan kaseeran to all of us.